Welcome to the Success Revenue Podcast, the only podcast in the Middle East that brings you leaders in customer success, account management, sales, and go-to-market to share ideas, perspectives, and valuable learnings on how to successfully drive revenue, delight customers, and take it to the next level.
We're your host. I'm Haider Al-Saad, CEO of RevSetter, the modern customer management platform, advisor, and other things. And then we also have the lovely Ivy Ferrero, a CS executive, keynote speaker, and advisor for many companies. And we couldn't be more excited to welcome you to today's episode and the amazing guest that we have today. And I'm very excited, Ivy, because today's guest, he has a very long experience from the customer experience space, was very close and adjacent to customer success. And on today's episode, we'll have a lot of takeaways, amongst others, how the EMEA, the Middle East region, is really building a brand new customer experience practice, and they're not really tied to legacy operations that you see in North America and other regions. And that's super exciting. We're also going to talk about how CX is a practice and not just a function, and really is the sum of all of the customers' perceptions of your brand. And lastly, you can also learn about how you can really create and drive great customer experiences within your organization. So again, I'd be super excited for today's podcast. And before we bring our guest in and introduce him, how have you been since the last episode?
It's been good. It's been a good weekend. It was a relaxing weekend, and here we are back on. Wow, it's January. It's almost the month of January. It's almost ending, so it's so crazy. But yeah, I'm really excited about this guest because there's always so many different definitions for what a customer success manager is. Do they own renewals or do they not? Do they get help from for implementation? Do they get help from account management and whatnot? And then there's this whole thing about customer experience, and is it part of customer success, or is it separately function and whatnot? So I'm excited for the guest to be able to share his knowledge about how best to set them apart.
Yeah. No, I agree with you fully. And I mean, we've been doing this long enough where just even with the CS itself, the definitions are all over the place, as we've talked about many times, and brings customer success into this whole thing. And people don't really know where one starts, where one finishes, and what they are. So I'm excited to kind of have him dig into that as someone who's been doing it for 20 plus years. And it's also interesting, Ivy. I was in Saudi again last week, and one of the things when I was talking to folks over there, one of the things that is really kind of striking coming from other markets, they have a government department for customer experience. They are investing heavily on that from a top level as a government, and same thing here in Dubai and the UAE and other places within the region. So it seems like it's a focus to ensure really good experiences across the board in the Middle East region. So that's interesting how companies can really leverage that, right? Because back in the US, we're not used to seeing that type of investment from a government standpoint, but we see it here. So I really find that interesting as well.
Yeah, that is very interesting. Especially, I remember when I got my visa and I had to go get the fingerprints and all of this, and then they had this customer happiness center.
Yes,
and I thought it was so unique how they called it happiness. It was like customer. It immediately made my experience better, knowing that they do try to provide satisfaction and happiness with the whole experience. So I find that to be very unique, and I'm excited to see how customer success is going to, or customer experience is going to become more valuable within companies here in the Middle East. I have seen there's still some differences in cultural on like adopting this new way of becoming a customer centric. So I am excited to see that the government is leading by example. Yeah,
For sure, for sure. Awesome. What do you think, Ivy? Should we bring the guest in?
yeah, yeah. Let's do it.
Awesome.
I'm
Let's
excited.
do it. Awesome. Welcome everyone to today's episode of the Success Revenue Podcast. And we're super excited to have Mr. Musa Hanhan on board for today's episode. Musa is the founder and managing partner of Experiente and also a Bain and Company external advisor who brings well over 20 years of experience in onboarding customer experiences and creating value. Um, his passion, I know after speaking to Musa several times, lies with really creating world-class strategies that build trust and loyalty with the customers. And whether that's designing experiences, managing products, or aligning practices with company values, Musa is really obsessed with making customer-centric decisions and helping organizations that way. Among other things, Musa was last year named one of CX Network Magazine's top 50 CX influencers out there, which is really cool. And he brings experience from many great companies like Korn Ferry, Cloudware, and VMware, along with having experience from the US and North American market, as well as the Middle East market, which is more of his focus today. Musa, welcome to the podcast. Excited to have you on board.
Oh, thank you. My pleasure. My honor to be with you.
Awesome. And we're super excited for today's conversation. Ivy and I were talking about this. And the CX space, customer experience, is so big, especially here in the Middle East region. And we'll delve into a lot of questions around that and kind of pick your brain on it. But before we do, so why don't you kind of start by just giving us some background? Talk to us a little about your your domain, your experience, and kind of your story that led you into to where you are today. And we'll take from there.
Sounds good. Well, my story, it started way back. And one of the things that always we talk about customer experience, there's no discipline in university where you study that. What I did find out that I've been in customer experience for pretty much my entire career. I started in the service delivery and then in the product strategy. Knowing that now, but back then, the work I was doing, it's about customer experience. It's a frontline delivering experiences through products and services. And then I switched to the product side because I figured there's a gap in the product and maturity and it needs to be worked out. And that's where I got into the product and start building a product and designing products and managing products. I realized that my focus is on the product, not on the customer user or users.
Right.
Until I realized one time from my visiting customers, one of the things in the product manager is talking to customer all day, and you hear the good and bad and the ugly.
Right.
And one of the episodes that I got, it's one time that the customer, specifically the customer users of where they were complaining about the product, even though the IT side of the house, they love the product because we saved them about $500,000 in 6 months, which is back then in 2000 was really good.
Yeah.
But with this one big, the user experience, we missed how to use the experience. Back then when we introduced a predated cloud or SaaS applications, the browser did not support hotkeys. So imagine how the experience looked like. Yeah. Then moving forward around that, I got involved in the user experience and design, and we end up redesigning the whole new set of applications. Then I got into oh wow, this is product still. Yes, we focus on users, but how is the whole ecosystem? Where's the experience from the journey point from the awareness to, post purchase and support? That got me into discussing about looking at the journey. And that's where I got discovered about journey mapping back in 2010, where I introduced the journey mapping to the product team, and then end up talking about all of that. And, moving forward, there was more focus on the company I was in, discussing about customer experience. I want to be a customer experience company. I was having discussion with the CEO. I said, if we want to be a customer experience, then we need to act at the customer experience. And that's what happened. As I, start creating that. So I end up creating the CX practice and end up building the practice around the customer experience as a discipline. And that's my notion where I am. And then after that, I said, there's a bigger, there's a lot of out there. They're looking for some type of experience that they want to deliver to customers. It's not just about, nice to have. It's how you integrate it into the culture, integrate into the business process, into the decision making of the company. And that's where I am now. I decided to go and have a full-time consulting and create Experiente to do that, pretty much.
Yeah. Very
Wow,
cool. Very
super
cool.
cool. You have so much knowledge, Musa. And on this same topic, talking about customer experience, I mean, you've seen how the Middle East, this has become more of a concept like customer success and whatnot. What would you say are your thoughts within customer experience in the Middle East? How have you seen it evolve, and where do you actually think it's going?
Well, it's going. I mean, definitely the MENA market has a really unique a place in the customer experience because one of the things that the uniqueness of it is the government leading the customer experience initiatives in the MENA region, not the private sector. This is huge. That means really the emphasis coming from the top to say it's not about just a company or organization, it's country. It's huge. The second thing is what I have seen is leading the whole notion about the digital transformation. One thing with MENA, they don't have legacy. So building a digital transformation experience, it's pretty much new. You design it and you work on it. Where in the Western side of the house, it's more, they have legacy. They have to address all the legacy, and they have legacy operations as well. Where in the MENA region, it's brand new. So it's the ideal place where you want to be able to deliver not just any experiences, it's really delivering and design intentional experiences, as we are seeing in Dubai and in the Saudi market. So it is one of those two things. The third, I would say, even though we talk a lot about customer experience in MENA, still there are amateur in terms of the practice, in terms of the discipline, and that's the know-how is still required more, and that's where I think the opportunity is there. Meaning that people are willing to learn and getting to know more about what it takes to deliver customer experience, and that's where I see the biggest challenge, the challenge and the opportunity, I should say, because one of the things that the shift now with the big mega initiatives that also the private sector now they need to shift out, moving from a corporate family oriented to more of a customer centric mindset. And that a shift that I have seen, and that's the biggest opportunity where you see that, and realizing that to be able to go to the next level to deliver amazing experiences, there is a set of principles in customer-centric mindset that needs to be set up there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is one of the things that Hader and I have been talking about since we've moved here from the US, is how much there is opportunity for the CS community to grow but also for CS leaders to be able to share their knowledge. In particularly because we have seen that there is a lot of customer success managers, but that they are actually following account management methodologies and not specifically doing true customer success. So I'm excited to spotlight people like yourself that have so much knowledge and that really understands customer centricity. And Musa, tell us a little bit more about Experiente, as well as the advisory. I believe is it called Bain and Company?
Yes.
Um,
Yeah. So Experiente, it's Portuguese for experience.
I love that.
So I initially want to build more knowledge in customer experience practice, and one of the things that I created to create the website, and I started sharing my thoughts and ideas around it. But in mid of 2023, I decided to go full time to be able to build consultancy practice around it. And that's where I end up talking to my friends in the MENA region, and they told me, you need to come in and visit. And that's where I've been doing. The notion about Experiente, it's about helping businesses and organizations to transform their customer experience practice to drive value and growth. And the principle or the focus in the area are four pillars that Experiente offered. And CX strategy, it's building around the CX practice inside the organization. Second thing, it's around experience design. It's really about getting the survey design, the human-centric design, to be able to intentionally design and deliver experiences. And the third pillar around NPS system, it's understanding what it takes to operationalize the customer experience practice and build a governing body that able to manage the experiences. And the fourth one is around customer service. With my background knowledge with the company I spent 24 years, able to help the customer service leaders optimize their omni channels. So if
nice.
you
So
think about that package and pillars around that, it's about the goal of Experiente is to help the leaders recognize that customer experience is not a nice to have, it's part of the business.
I love that. I love that. And Musa, have you seen that there is some sort of like resistance? Because obviously in human psychology, if people hate to change, right? And so have you seen some sort of like resistance within the culture here of not only focusing on landing new business, new logos and revenue, new revenue, but to actually taking care of the customer? Has it been easy to get people to thinking that way? Because you kind of have to shift your thinking to think.
Yeah,
Tough.
no, totally. By the way, it's not just unique for MENA region, even in
Okay.
US. I mean, this is one of the challenge. And if you look at it, this is one of the challenges that CX right now, where it is right now. I would say yes, because there's a couple things about that. It's that people underestimate the change. One thing I noticed, and I looking at the companies, the iconic companies that you ask the question why they are doing what they are doing, and always you will see that the CEO or the founder or the top management are natively customer-centric people. They have that mindset already. No one told them this is changing that. So what happened is, even if they don't call it CX, okay, which is Apple. They don't, they don't. Or
Yeah.
Amazon, but Amazon, they have their mission. It's a customer-centric organization. Um, so these companies, they do have the founders, the CEOs, where they set the role model about customer-centric mindset, and then it goes down. Others are learning, which is good because they're opening that. They are learning what it takes to do that, and that's where change management comes in. But to understand that, that's very required a set of a couple things. The company or the CEO or the founder want to define what's customer centric for the company and for the culture, and be able to tell the story what it takes to do that as a role model. Because this is one of the things that get a story brain in the employee, and the employee, and then focus on the behavior of the word customer-centric behaviors that allow the company to move, and also invest in tools and training and processes to enable the employees to deliver on customer-centric mindset or the vision of the company. So yes, it is possible, and there are companies that are doing it. Is that the resistance? It's people resist because either they are very comfortable, they don't want to change, or they are afraid to lose the power. But by a transparency and communication that allowed that to understand what it takes to have a bigger, what's the mapping, and this is one of the exercises, mapping each employee work or task, the daily thing that they are due to the values that the company are defined to be a customer centric, and be able to say what you do is impacting the overall approach. And that's important. And then you can look at it, and then you can illustrate actually to say my work, it's impacting the customers, and that's where it needs to be done. And that's the challenge with the companies. They are not investing in that.
Yeah. No, that's very true. And, I see myself as well, right? Anytime you think about the change management, any kind of discipline, connecting that big picture, fluffy kind of goals and vision that you have as a leadership team or company to that individual user and their day-to-day and their purpose and how those two things intersect, that's really missed. And that's really where a lot of times the disconnect happens. Is on the ground, someone's doing something based off of their notion of things and salary model or anything else, and then up here you're talking about something a little bit fluffy and kind of hard to consume. So that, I think that's an amazing point, Musa. And I was curious as well, after hearing you talk about this, because there's a lot of similarities. Obviously, there's a lot of close connections between CX and customer experience and customer success as a discipline to manage and create value for customers and make sure that they stay on and grow and so on and so forth. Although kind of your experience, where have you seen some of that intersection between CX and CS, and what are your thoughts on it in general? Kind of that those two disciplines being so close together, but have also misunderstood what's what, and where do we focus something versus that?
So let's start with the definitions, because that's where I get that's a give you a more clarity.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's the starting point number one.
Customer experience. So let's just start with the customer success. The customer success definition, it's about managing the relationship. The main focus of customer success is to retain customers and provide support to realize the value of their investment. I mean, that's where customer success. I mean, there's more, but I mean, that's the core. Whereas the customer experience core is about the sum of interactions and perceptions and feelings throughout the customer journey with the brand. Now, if you think about that, there is the managing relationship, there's managing perception, and those are the two things that are important. And sometimes they get missed in the discussion. But in terms of the the similarity between customer success and customer experience, that both are customer centric. They're putting the customer at the center of their business. They are both looking at the customer data, understanding the customer, looking at it from the angle of each one. But it's important that the customer success is more managing that the relationship, ensuring that the support to the customer, where in the customer experience are more focused on creating, designing, optimizing the journey, and creating the metrics that allow you, the customer success, to be able to say, where's how you manage the outcome. Those are the things that could be a difference and similarity, but and it got mixed, as we've seen in the market, especially in North America, where it got really messy, and it got in a way that, I have my own view, and I could be a little bit more on the extreme view of that. But I think we missed the opportunity to define the two roles. And looking at it, I see it. I want to add this is that customer success. It's this more function. Be able to do is kind of like this anything like marketing function or accounting function. Customer experience is not a function. It's a practice. It's everywhere. Customer success, they can practice customer experience. Finance can practice customer experience. What got missed in the hype of customer experience, and that you got to create a department and yet another silo. Even though they say, no, we are bridging, right? But in reality, it got created a department, and then they are responsible for something that they could not deliver.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
got missed. So, we can talk more about that, but it's one of those things is very important that we need to step back and redefine. And this is really up on us as a CX leader to be able to articulate the differences and the similarity, and be able to educate the management about what customer experience is all about.
Yeah,
I love that.
It's great points for sure. And I'll just give guys one thing on that note. So I think it, the definition question is a key one, right? There even within just customer success itself, there are many definitions. When you ask one company versus another, what's customer success, they'll give you completely different answers. And what should customer success be or do? They give you completely different answers. And then you tack on account management or customer experience and other things, and now you kind of create this kind of blur of something that kind of intersects but doesn't, and people don't really know what it is. So I think those are very clear definitions, and that's a great starting point. And one thing I'm kind of wondering about, because you're talking about those differences, you're talking about kind of what CS is and what CX is, and I think what CX is defined as a practice is really interesting. And kind of what do you feel that people are missing about that? How to drive good CX practice? What are some of the one or two key things that organizations or leaders miss about the good CX practice, right?
So the first one is the overlook of the holistic view of the customer journey. That's one. Second one, it's around underestimating the employee experience. And the third one is focus on metrics without the context. And the fourth one is about lack of the closed loop and continuous improvement. So if you take a couple of them, let's take the first one, because I always, we talk a lot about journey, and it's overused now. It's if there's somebody want to have a new terminology for it, but it's a critical, because what happened is we talk about a lot, but we do nothing to connect that, or we do in our own way. So the best practice is around looking at the customer journey. Customers are human beings. If you are in the vendor side, or you are in the consumer side, or between, human beings are complex. Set of emotions, perceptions, interactions. So understanding that us to look at it from the holistic view of the journey, from the awareness phase to ending, probably staying with the brand for a year, decades more, or they leave from the first interaction after that. So it depends on how their perception. So one of the things that's really important is looking at it from that angle, and that's where I say customer experience is not a department; it's a horizontal that needs to go through across the departments. Be able, product managers, finance, marketing, sales, you name it, legal, they are need to be part of the customer experience, meaning that they have that skill of, call it customer experience, be able to understand how their work connecting to the other work, that be able to see it and look at it from the customer point of view, not from the organization or corporate point of view. And that's what get missed in the process when we talk about customer mapping or customer journey or customer life cycle. It's driven by corporate process, not by customer touch point. So that's
I
one of
love that.
the things. I mean, we can talk more about how things work, but that the practice that require, and I think, and that's where the challenge, that's where the gap got created between what the CX promised about 10, 15 years ago and what delivered, because the management, so the value is not there, did not see the ROI, because they are short term thinking, or even they set up a metrics that's short term that not allow that to see how the CX practice as a company can deliver on. And that's got somewhat missed in the calculation, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, Musa, I would agree with that. It almost seems like they feel like CS is like a plant. You put water on it and it's going to magically grow, but it does take some time for you to see the ROI of customer success. But even with putting one person to manage an account and to try to reduce churn, I believe I've seen the statistics of them being like you can already reduce churn by 60%. So although the ROI might take a long time for you to truly see it, it does certainly make a huge impact right off the bat on putting someone in an account.
Yes, and I like your example is really good because very specific. There's an action and there's an outcome. I think what the challenge has been with the CX, it get a little bit of fluffy. Be a little bit more to say we need to fix everything. No, it cannot fix. And if you look at the definition of customer-centric mindset, you will see very focused on the customer, not all customers. You cannot be able to satisfy all customers. So the company front needs to figure out which customers are their customers and be able to focus on that. And this is important because that allowed them to really be able to invest in that segment of their customers, that because they cannot, and it's going to be, there's no way you can deliver 100% experience, customer experience to everyone. And you want to be able to define what it is and be able to start, adjusting. Probably one segment you have a specific experience versus the other segment, and that's fine too, because then you are defining what are these experiences. See, if you are not defining these experiences, the customer will define it for you.
Yeah.
And that's becoming, no one is satisfied.
Good point. Good point. Awesome. Well, there's so many great insights there. So let me ask you this, and then I know I have a few questions in mind as well, but I was kind of curious because you have the experience, and similar to Ivy myself, working on different continents, and in particular the big U.S. North American market, and then the Middle East market now, and getting exposure in there. What do you feel is the kind of the biggest difference in terms of, and I know you spoke about the kind of the top down government piece and kind of investments in CX, but what do you feel like kind of in practice, looking at some of the companies you advise or watch for, in terms of approaching CX in the US, North American market, and then what you're seeing in the Middle East market?
Well, in the US market, they are looking at still that CX traditional, even though now it's changing, right? You will see, and this is one of the things I want to highlight probably my way of thinking about what's the future for CX,
Yeah.
but is that it's shifting. It's more of a technology driven now than a practice driven. So we've seen that in US. In the MENA region, still, I would say not there yet, even though there are some companies that are trying to do. I think it's here where they are hungry for is give me the best practice, how I can have my employee can deliver better experience. What's the culture require to deliver on that? What are the behavior that we need to be able to see in the organization to deliver on that? So those are things that, even though some of the definitely big companies in MENA are probably some of them they are way advanced than in North America, but in general, still there are the lack of knowledge about the know-how to be able to deliver on these best practices in customer experience. I don't see it long enough. I mean, give a couple of years, and I think it's going to be shifting here as well, and be able not just to talk about customer experience, but they're going to deliver, and they're going to go top. They're going to do. It's not something they're going to. It's not the mediocre experience they're going to deliver. They're going to superior experience. So, I mean, imagine that. That's the opportunity here. The
Yeah.
opportunity here is that they are looking at how to deliver memorable experiences, experiences, and that's require intentional experience. That means
Mm.
understanding the customers, understanding the culture, understanding what's required to deliver on that. And those are things that that's what I see. My excitement here in the MENA region is that the opportunity and the thinking around how to deliver uh, amazing experiences is there. It's in the culture, so meaning that they want to do it. They don't go with the mediocre experience.
Yeah, that's why I like the Middle East. I feel like it's either you go big or you go home.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
totally. Yeah.
yeah. Um, and Musa, what are your thoughts about the difference between driving customer experience in B2B versus B2C
Okay.
companies?
Oh yeah, because I spent a lot time my time in B2B, and the framework is the same. The discipline is the same. The concept is the same. But the B2B, um, the consumer, you have one-to-one relationship. B2B, you have one-to-many relationships. And that's require in B2B is that you are dealing with the hierarchy of the organization. You are talking about the buyers, the influencers, the users, the management, the procurement. I mean, you name it. So you're talking about, uh, multiple players on every interaction. So one of the things that important for B2B, even though, it's the same, it's required looking at it from the angle that the customer, has multiple people to deal with, and that is important. And that's where start defining the ecosystem in B2B. Um, in the consumer side, it's different because you have one-to-one interaction and you can work on that. So I would say it's not easier. It's the same. Because B2B, it's a also, it is complex. We know that by nature, right? But, and it's require a more close relationship building versus maybe in the consumer side, B2B, where things get a little bit more maybe transactional. less relationship. But now with the social media and the impact on just one post, relationship is by default. You need to have on both B2B or regardless, B2B or B2C. So B2B also, it depends on the business because you get channels, you get partnership. Yeah,
Yeah.
that could be get more complicated, a layer of complexity, I would say, because when B2B, you work with B2B companies, the ecosystem, the partners involved, the channels, the resellers, still the customer, they look at you. You're providing the experience, not the partners or channels, even though probably you don't have control over that. But the perception, it's you. So that's where it gets a little bit, a challenge. And that's where the B2B needs to be really investing in intentional in terms of what kind of experience they want to be able to project to their customer.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Thank you for explaining that very thoroughly. And Musa, do you have any sort of like examples, anything that comes to mind, or any sort of learnings from your experience that you like to share on delivering great customer experience?
Let me give you a couple things because those are I'm still I use them as an example. My first journey mapping workshop in 2010 or 11. That was an eye opener for a couple things. Is that having a team from cross functional departments sit 3 days in a room discussing who's the customer and what's their journey with the company. The goal was to create journey, customer journey, but actually the outcome of that is that the department came in together to realize their work is disconnected. And the reason why I talk about it, because sometimes we have a goal to design an experience, a journey, but end up actually opening up the eyes of the company to say, this is how we are delivering our experience, a disconnected experience. And that it's
Wow.
important because then that's a drive action. It drives change. It drives process improvement. And that is one of the examples that I always, because I said sometimes these exercises that you do is not, there's intent and there's an intent, and then you drive that. So this is one of the second thing is around implementing surveys. So we are over surveyed people now. I think I already all my talk in the last few years talking about no more surveys, but but understanding the surveys, and when I say no more surveys, doesn't mean that it's gonna disappear 100%. But I think it will be, they are disappearing, and will be more. But it needs to be really rethinking with the surveys, and we want to be able to really target it more intention to send the surveys. Back then, when we in 2014 we did the support survey, setting up the NPS system and having from looking at it from the feedback to fixing the issues of customers and then follow up and then let them know how, what we did. One thing that I was surprised, and this is becoming a best practice, after someone complained about a support interaction, the process is to pick up the phone, the manager, pick up the phone and call back to say how I can help you and tell me more about the issue. That call, it drove the NPS score 20 because the customer were not, they were surprised that someone called them out of the blue, asked them, can you tell me more about your issue and how we can help? Before even fixing the problem.
Wow.
So the lesson learned from this, it's not just about fixing, it's about building relationships. It's about understanding with how the customer goes through their pain and how we can elevate that pain. Because there's no way we can eliminate all the pain, especially if you are in the software business. It's always there. It's the question is how you elevate that pain. And that's important because then you'll be able to say, I recognize the challenge, I recognize your pain, and here's how we're going to do it. And that's why we call it now empathy. It's getting overused, but it is. We're talking about understanding the customer point of view. And that's important because that's what it's not about just driving the score, but also driving behavior.
Oh, that's great, Musa. And I think that's such a good point in terms of driving national outcome, intentional behavior versus a number score. As we talked about this before, probably, but I have strong feelings and thoughts about NPS and the value of using NPS surveys and kind of the response rate, but it's really about the mentality and what you're trying to get out of it versus just getting a number to look at and feel good about or bad about, depending on what that number is. So I think there's so many great learnings and insights throughout. And times has been flying by as you've been sharing kind of we're learning from you about this space and the audience as well. So what we like to do, Musa, as kind of we wrap things up with our guests, and you might have seen this, we like to finish off with a kind of a rapid fire section with a couple of quick questions and answers and get some final things out of the way. I have a few for you that I want to ask. I know Ivy has always one or two of her favorite questions that she likes to ask our guests as well. So if you're ready, Musa, I'd love to drop some quick question and answers there for you.
I'm gonna try.
Awesome. All right. So we'll start you off easy. First one. What's your kind of favorite content to consume today? Your favorite book, podcast, something like that. What's the top of your list right now?
Well, my list it's always book because it does give me a little bit more insights about things, about topic. So that's pretty much what I intend continue doing that.
Yep. Yeah, well, I'm sure you have a shelf full of a lot of good CX and customer focused books as well there. Awesome.
That's
exactly.
Yeah, there's a lot of books, which is nice. I mean, the CX books, business books, and also looking at it from books that make you think, challenge your ideas, allow you to look at how the world is working, or the dynamic of the powers inside organization can work, because that's also related to CX, by the way. So it gives you a little psychology,
nice.
Behavior. I mean, that's a tied to customer experience, and if you don't see it, then we can talk more.
Exactly. Awesome. All right, next one for you. Can you give us maybe like favorite person to follow or take inspiration from that you recommend, or people, if you have more than one to recommend?
On this one, I'm not going to recommend anyone, because what I do, I don't follow people. I do follow up, or more interested in the day-to-day people's life. Because what happened, I mean, we can, there's the big guys, always it's like everybody following, ideally, and, but we are missing the people, how people, they do their life day to day, and be able to look what the struggle they have, and what the joy of a kid. And by the way, the kids, sometimes they teach you a lot, even though, sometimes we underestimate them.
Yeah,
that's my eye. It's really looking at it from the day-to-day people, because that gives me a more inspiration about how I can, because that's my mission is to make people's lives better.
Right.
How I want to be able to understand and be able to deliver on.
Beautiful.
That's great. Awesome. And then my last question for you is, what's your one kind of quick favorite prediction for 2025 as we're starting the year?
prediction about CX or
Yeah, oh yeah, that's, yes, if you
let's
want to go
let
very
only
broad, the
get it
global one,
like
it goes very broad. Yeah,
yeah, there's a lot of predictions here. But I
yeah,
would say,
exactly.
let's take the hype of AI because everybody's their favorite topics right now,
Of course, yeah.
right? If the people who listen and remember the internet era in the mid 90s, we are going through the same thing. So it's kind of like I'm trying to figure out when the bubble is going to be burst for AI to go back in reality, reset the hype, and be able to work again to deliver value based on AI. So I would say this year could be later this year. The AI bubble get bust a little bit because I think it's way overhyped right now on what can deliver. And I think we need to be reset expectations, and it's time to do that this year.
Yeah, interesting prediction for sure. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we can spend hours on AI and everything going on with customer experience and any other field. So yeah, that's super interesting prediction. Awesome. And then
Yeah.
Ivy, to wrap us up here, I know you have always a favorite question to ask for the wrap.
Yes. Okay, Musa. So, what is one life philosophy you like to live by?
Live and let other people live.
I love it.
That's a great one.
Yeah,
For sure.
I love that.
Perfect.
And lastly, Musa, on the weekends, what are you up to on the weekends? When you're not doing CX, uh, what else are you doing? Where do people find you on the weekends?
Oh, where they find me?
Yeah.
They're gonna find me on my favorite coffee shop, close to my in my neighborhood where I live. And there's a couple of a coffee shop that I like to go there, have my coffee, and then listen to the music, and and or sometimes meeting people there. Actually, the neighborhood sometimes, just to catch up on that. So that's one thing. Otherwise, you can find me online on LinkedIn. I try to be active. Sometimes, kind of like cycle. You can do that, but otherwise, you can find me with my friends. We cook. We do, we have a competition of who's best cook. So we
Nice.
do as well. you can you can find me in the kitchen or in the shopping for the groceries.
Amazing, amazing.
That's cool. Awesome. Well, Musa, it's been such a pleasure to have you on today on the Experiente podcast. Really, really inspiring conversation and very, very timely based off of everything going on in the Middle East region and investments in CS, but also in CX and kind of those intersections. So, thank you again, Musa, for taking the time today, and look forward to seeing you again here on the pod in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the time. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on your podcast, and I'm looking forward to continue.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Musa.
Thanks,
All right.
Musa.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Thank you. We want to thank our sponsors for supporting the Success Revenue podcast. RevSetter is the #1 customer success and management platform in the Middle East region, offering global capabilities mixed with regional solutions that helps your CS, account management, and go-to-market teams 10x efficiency, improve customer experience, and turbocharge customer retention rates.
And thank you to Medlify, a leading marketplace. Workers and employers in the healthcare space needs and demands meet to create benefits for both sides. Thank you again, and we'll see you next time.